What's going on? So I installed AMS upper intercooler piping on the GTR last night. Took me a long time, but I'm gonna tell you how I did it, and there's not too many videos on it. So yeah, took me a while because the GTR is my first GTR, so I'm not too familiar with a lot of the things you're at. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you a very quick rundown of what all you need to do. So some of the things you're going to have to take off, obviously, is all the intercooler piping. So you can take this off. You need to change out the hose, vacuum hose. But hey, this is actually a longer one. So you can see it's a one I had whenever I put on my cob bypass valve on my STI. They send this to you, and I just used it here because the factory, when it came out of the factory blow-off valves, way over there, isn't long enough. So you need to get another hose. So you have to take off the shroud, take off all these little clips right here, take that off. And then underneath that, there's some more clips for the top part of the bumper. All down through here, you gotta take that off. Then you gotta jack the car up. Jack the car up in the front, put it on stands, because you have to take this whole inner fender out. And it is a pain in the butt. So you gotta take out all these screws right there, right there. I think there's a bunch of little clips, and they're all the way around. So you have to take all those out. And then when you have the car jacked up, oh yeah, you're not gonna be able to see that. But when you jack the car up, look at all the scratches where it's been hit, it's hit the bottom. But there's all these little plugs, rubber plugs right here, and clips, and a couple of screws. When you take those plugs out, there's bolts up in there. I think I only took 4 of them off. The instructions say like take all these different bolts off and all these different things. You don't actually have to do all that. I just took enough off to disconnect this under tray from the rest of the under tray, and I left it attached to the bumper, and then I pulled the whole bumper, just popped it off. You gotta pull it, and there's like these little pins in this area around the headlight that comes out. And when you take the fender liner out, you're obviously gonna take the wheel off, but they don't tell you that either, but take the wheel off. Right in this area right here, there's 3 bolts around this side marker. There's one right here, and that one's a little rough to get out, but there is, unplug your side marker light. If you have the fog lights, get to unplug those too. Obviously, unplug that, and then make sure you get these bolts right here in the front, and these little plugs. I think it's this plug, maybe. Anyway, because it actually connects this part of the intercooler shroud, whatever it's called, right here, to the bumper right there. So you got to take that off. And as the bumper comes off, then you got to take the metal aluminum, take the foam piece off. That's behind here is a foam piece. Slide it straight out, and then once you do that, you'll have to take a bunch of bolts off the metal bumper that's behind that, the aluminum one, and put all that to the side. And then after you get all that off, it's easy peasy. The hardest part is putting the fender liners back in. The bumper was so-so to put back on, but it still wasn't that bad. I was doing it by myself, so that was a little rough. But the fender liners were a pain in the ass, pardon my French, because the intercooler piping is so big now that it actually hits the fender liner. I don't know if you can see it down there. Let me see if I can get my light over here. So it actually hits the fender liner. That's the fender liner right there. And so it rubs against that. But I mean, it's just, plastic fender liner, it's not gonna do anything. So you just gotta push it in really hard to get those clips back in there. And the piping, you can maneuver the piping a little bit. This top piece right here, obviously, can't be changed. But the mid pipe and the lower pipe, those can be maneuvered around a little bit. So the lower pipe's there, and the mid pipe's kind of here. Those can be switched around a little bit and moved. The hardest elbow bent piece, those are on the bottom. But I had the initial one. Initially, I did this side first. I ended up taking it off, putting it on that side, and taking that one off and putting it on this side. And that's what helped get it on there to fit right, because the rest of it wouldn't fit right. I also started at the top. I found that to be easier. I put the top part in first on each side. Then I put the bottom one on. Then I put the middle one on. And I left all the clamps loose so I could move it around and turn it and stuff like that. So anyway, Took me about 6 hours, which is crazy. You know, majority of that was putting the fenders off or on and the bumper and stuff. So the actual piping install itself was a breeze. So if you have any questions, just let me know. I always forget to mention something every time. So I put these, the pipes I bought have the built-in adapters already for the tile cube blow-off valves. So I installed those all at the same time. So I retained the MAP sensor as well. So MAP sensor, retained that one, it moves up here. And then your cable, I actually moved the, I took the little piece, what are these things we call these spring clamps. I reused it on that end and I zip tied it on this end. So yeah, always forgetting something. So until next time, see ya.